Hello, friends and enemies. I'm already signed into Discord and everything. Oops, forgot mini-me. I'm having an off day. I'd like to thank two new people who anonymously joined my YouTube channel. Thank you for the subscriptions. I appreciate it. I still don't know who exactly you are, because you don't have your account set where I can see your account name. But thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Like a lot. You have no idea how much. Sorry, I'm still out of it. I just worked outside for 8 hours consecutively and then had to spend several hours forcing myself to recover. And by forcing, I mean doing very intense mental gymnastics to not think about how hard I worked or the fact it was unpaid. So but yeah, I'm not doing so hot in general. I'm having to really push myself to not think about things right now. So, um, thankfully all my cuts and nicks healed up. Just part of what I was waiting on. Like, tiny cuts, they heal pretty quick, less than a day. A few hours at most. But still, just unpaid labor and getting hurt, even if it's a little cut, it just feels wrong, you know? Like it feels like I'm. But yeah, no, not thinking about that. Not thinking about it at all. Nope, not thinking about it. Not thinking about it at all. I'm thinking about Genshin. I'm thinking about Genshin. I need to just. I need to not. Like I'm like this close to crying, and I need to not. my baby, sorry, my boyfriend, babe just said happy streaming, babe, and I'm like, thanks. Love you. Back. So, hang on. There we go. Send him that. I need to send him some more kisses. Real quick. I honestly need a hug, but he's too far away to send me a real hug, and and the reason I need a hug, the reason I need a real hug, if my parents were here, which thankfully they're not right now, because it gives me a chance to process, like, the reason I need a hug, they'd be like, you're just lazy, and would ignore me, and it's difficult, you know, like trying to manage how your emotions are interacting with your reality, especially when you've got parents who don't acknowledge your emotions as valid or real. I think there's some delusion. Yeah, I love Nebula, and he's the sweetest, and he tries his best. He's the best boyfriend I've ever had. And he's better than I could ever hope to deserve or ask for. I love him, and I want him to have everything he can in life to succeed. But there are times where I feel like I'm not good enough for him, and he said there are times that he feels that he's not good enough for me, so I really don't... I don't know how to make things better, but I want to try. I want to be able to find a way to be there for him, even though I'm currently in a situation where I can't physically be there, and there are days where I do need hugs, and nobody in my life will give me that, so I mean, at least not for things that actually matter. And like, I tell my dad a good thing, and he turns it into an excuse to attack my gender identity. I tell mom a good thing, and she tells dad, and then he turns it into a fight. I can't... And I don't know if it's the chemo, or if it's... He just genuinely was always like that. Because looking back on it, yeah, he's kind of always been like that, but I don't want to admit it to myself. At least not completely yet, because that would mean it's a lot worse than even I was willing to give it credit for, and you know, I just don't know. I don't know anymore. I mean, between the hours of unpaid work and shoving 4 days worth of work into one day so that I could be able to continue streaming for you all and getting as few viewers as I do, despite that. Not that I'm ungrateful for the few viewers I do have, I just wish it could be more. Then there's the fact that I'm also a full-time student, and I'm trying to do this full-time, where I'm playing video games for your entertainment and talking, you know? Like... Between... trying to be there for everybody and be a light in the darkness for everybody else, to make everyone feel better, and like trying to shine a little bit of hope despite everything when I have no hope to give. Freaking sucks. Did I just unlock 2 quests? Huh. Okay. I'll look at those later. I need to focus on my dailies first. But I'm sorry, I think I'm getting sicker. My depression didn't go away. Like it's gotten bad enough that it's making me sick. And then I was outside working in the heat for several hours. 7.5 technically, but I didn't really take a full break. I just stopped in for water once or twice. So I mean, if you're being generous to try to make it seem better, I guess you technically could say I worked just 7 hours, with 1 hour of it being spent trying to cool off. I seriously nicked up my hands, and like, it all healed. Like I can hold a controller. Like there's still one cut that isn't fully healed, but it isn't bleeding. I think it might scar a little bit. But between working for my parents unpaid and the fact my depression hasn't gotten any better, no matter how hard I try, no matter what I do. In fact, my depression's making me sick. And I did technically, as I said, squeeze 4 days worth of work into a single period of time. I just, I don't. I don't know what to say. If there's anything to say. I was genuinely puking this morning before I went out, and I puked a couple more times after, and I barely ate anything that would constitute something that could cause vomit. Like I've just been drinking water, and admittedly some of it's carbonated, but not all of it, and just sorry. I'm sorry I bum everyone out. I am the literal downer of the party, and I get it, and I'm sorry. Just, I need people, and there aren't enough people in my life to actually fill the need for people, you know? Like, I have my boyfriend, and he does his best, and he's amazing, and he's done more for me than any other human being in the world, but at the same time, I need to, I need to have friends, and I scare my friends away because I explain my pain and my trauma so often and so vividly, and I need to stop. I need to just play into the cultural stereotypes and social constructs and mores that people want. Like, I've tried. Oh, hi. Second viewer. Great. Hi. But yeah, it's getting to the point where my sadness is causing me to drive people away, and I need to stop. I need to stop letting that happen. And I know it has to be somewhat my fault. Probably not all my fault, and probably not their fault either. It's just I'm too damaged of an individual to see a world without pain of my past. And I'm back down to one viewer again. Hi. Sorry. Just... gonna send Nebula another hug. I love Nebula a lot. Like, a lot, and I need friends, and I don't have that. Like, I have acquaintances, I have people I hang out with, I have people who tolerate me, but I don't really have people who would tell me it'll be okay, and I just don't have that, and I probably never will. Looking back on it, I don't think anyone in my family ever has. So admittedly, I'm coming from a deficit because the things that make my parents lose friends are usually the things they do and say that wind up being bad. Whereas me, I can't make friends because I'm too traumatized by the things my parents have done and said. No disrespect, but I've been disrespected enough. That it causes problems. It's damaged my ability to see life and the universe. And I want to be able to be the best boyfriend I can for Nebula, and I want to be able to have friends. Like, legitimately, I want to have lasting friendships, and I feel like my sadness will do that. Like, Epi is the closest person to being a best friend I've had outside of a relationship, and that is absolutely fucking amazing to me. So yeah, technically I have one best friend and a really, really fucking amazing boyfriend. But when it comes to people that I feel like I can talk to without being a burden, the voices in my head, the trauma, specifically, again, my parents' voices, telling me that my problems aren't real, that I'm imagining them, even though I know full goddamn well they're real. I am that traumatized. And the whole, if the door to hell opened, would I take it and leave? Yeah, if I could get somewhere far enough away that I wouldn't get sucked back in. I'm not... Like, if you've ever seen that play, that one about the three people trapped in a room that is secretly hell. Like, in that play, right? The character that is the victim of most of the traumatizing that is caused by the other two characters, right? Gets the opportunity to leave, but he doesn't leave. well, part of it's because his identity got tied up in the person, but he's scared that if he does leave, that him leaving could be used as ammunition to get him pulled back into hell, that he'd be branded a coward and wind up being pulled right back in. And I don't want to accidentally get pulled back into hell again if I escape, you know? If I escape, it has to be a complete and total escape where I can never be pulled back. Ever. Where I can be free of my parents and or I can also be free of the expectations of a conservative Midwest that treats me and others like me like we're the villains of our own stories. I genuinely want a place where I can be free to cuddle and snuggle with Nebula for the rest of my days. Yeah, sure, there'd be work, but at least it wouldn't be me working 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, for no pay while I'm also going to school and trying to start a career separately from that. Like, I'd be able to, like, you know, get paid for at least the 8 hours I work that isn't working on building my career if I were working at any other job, or if I were free from here, which I'm not. But literally, it's almost like my parents are telling me, give up on your career, give up on your degree, give up on everything so you can help us. And by the way, you need to get a paying job while you're still working full-time for us. Without getting paid. And I'm going to school full-time on top of that. So that adds that added wrinkle. And it's fucking absurd. Like, I'm one human being who has the same 24-hour days as everyone else does. I need 8 hours a day, minimum of 5 days a week, to focus on homework, and I haven't had that in a month. Because I have to spend at least 5 hours a day streaming and 3 hours a day working on analytics and data analysis to try to figure out what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, because I'm obviously failing at that. So I need 8 hours to work on this. I need 8 hours to work on school. Then I need some small amount of time to work on my music. But then I also have the 8 hours of work they have me do. I'm running out of energy. I'm running out of steam. They will occasionally let me have time off. But then they'll saddle me with long lists I'm broken. I'm a broken shell of the person I used to be, and it's not anyone's fault but my parents. I am doing the best I can to not get kicked out under the circumstances I'm in, but the best to not get kicked out involves them basically saying that my work should equal the value of living with them, which is like, what kind of parents are you? Like, yeah, sure, I'm 27, and yeah, sure, I work for you full time, basically without pay, but minimum wage in Illinois isn't $8.25 an hour anymore. I should be able to work for you full time and have enough money left over to reinvest into my music and into my AdSense account and making sure I have all my analytics set up properly so I can monitor what tags work best, and so I don't have to do all of that on my own manually like I've been doing the last several months. But no. I don't get paid. I don't deserve to get paid. Because my dad's sick. It's like they don't understand and they don't care. And then add on to that all the layers of transphobia I have to deal with every day. Every time I tell my dad anything positive, anything good about what I've done, he then immediately uses that as an excuse to find a way to segue into condemning my gender identity and saying that I will always be a boy. And I'm not a boy. I'm not a girl either. And sometimes I'm a boy, sometimes I'm a girl, but it's never for very long, and when it does happen, it doesn't last. Most of the time, I feel like I'm either neither or both. So they, them applies best. Like, technically I would accept any pronouns, but since the majority of the time I'm, again, neither or both, they, them works best. And they refuse to even give me that, let alone call me by the name they gave me that I chose to adapt. Because Tony is a part of my real name. My preferred name, Tony, is a part of that. It's also a part of my legal name. Like, my preferred name is Jeronis Tony Lehrer. I don't go by Jeronis publicly first name, I still go by Tony. Why? Because my legal name is Paul Anthony Adkins. So going by the middle part of both my preferred and my legal name is the easiest. And I thought, well, surely my uncle, who goes by his middle name and even had his legal first name changed to be what used to be his middle name, surely that would be enough for my parents to accept. Surely that would be enough for my parents to accept using my middle name as my preferred name, rather than, like, because I know they're never going to call me Jeronis Leroy, because when I set up my Patreon, they said, oh, we're not going to accept anything where you don't accept your full real name. It's like, no. Like, that should have been my first warning sign they were transphobic. Like, I was using a stage name. I was using an artist name, which admittedly is my preferred name in most settings. But I should have known. That should have been the warning sign. It's like, fuck. Should have been my warning sign. Should have been the hint. No. Like, they refused to support my Patreon when I started one because I was openly gay. I wasn't out as NB at the time. So they didn't support me when it was just me being out as gay, because they thought, oh, you're not using your real name, and also we don't support anything that encourages LGBTQ content, and you have friends who are trans, and you featured your friends on your channel. It's like I should have known this was coming. I should have known the transphobic abuse would have started. I deleted my Patreon because I was unable to get support, because I didn't have even bare minimum the support of my family, which almost every person who has a Patreon has. Not everybody, admittedly, but almost everyone has it, right? And it's like, no, I didn't even have that. I didn't even have that little bit of privilege, because they were unwilling to accept the fact that I was gay and had friends that were members of the community. And so it's like, no. I want to be honest about who I am. And if you're not willing to support me for who I am, then maybe I don't want your support. I didn't tell them that, mind you, but I wanted to. I wound up having only one patron who I had to disappoint and close down my Patreon account. I wound up even deleting the last of the Patreon rewards because I needed space if I was going to continue to make music, and I ran out of space. And since I didn't have a Patreon to afford the Google Drive expansion, I just... I'm sorry, I'm still really emotional. Sorry, I just... to whomever it is who's still watching me on a regular basis, thank you for sticking with me, and I'm sorry that I'm an emotional wreck and severely depressed, and yeah, I've been talking with someone to try to work my way through it, but sometimes, you know, like, and like, I knew I had that list waiting for me when I got home. I knew that when they left, I would have that massive list that I would have to do. Because Mom walked me through that list, and I nodded along like, yes, I'll do it, because I don't want to get kicked out. And I didn't have the courage to tell her that effectively just asking for room and board to be my payment for all the work I do for them is severely underpaying me. Yeah, I wanted to say it. I held my tongue. I can't feel most of my right hand right now, because all I feel is where the cuts happened and the nicks. I don't know why. My left hand is sort of the same. Like, I've got more feeling in it despite having more cuts and nicks. I think it might be something that... I think it might be from whatever splinter I got in my right hand. I don't know. Do I complain about the fact I get injured on the job working for them and don't get paid? No. Because I'm afraid if I complain... I'm afraid if I complain, I'll lose. What little bit of security I have here. All for the sake of them having their perfect little existence. And what they're really doing is building a life of luxury and, put it lightly, a life of not needing to want anything off of relying on me to do all the physical labor without ever having to worry about paying me. They pay my brother, they pay my cousins, but they won't pay me. And then they almost got me to the point where I was believing that building my own brand and doing all the things that are necessary to improve my life and eventually have a career doing this, where I'm doing video games and talking to people, like they almost had me convinced that it was me who was in the wrong for wanting to have a career doing something I love. That I was wrong to want a career in music. That I was wrong to want a career in games. Like, they almost had me convinced for a little bit that I was the person who was in the wrong. No, turns out they would just rather their oldest child suffer for their sake, than actually face the fact that maybe I'm not the one who's the abusive one in the relationship. Because they accuse me of abusing them by exposing them to my gender identity and to my sexual orientation. Is like, no. Being honest about who I am isn't abusing you. You denying who I am is abusing me. And I'm like, and I, to their face, will tell them that I don't believe they're abusing me, but my heart keeps telling me that they're abusing me too. It's not just other people. It's my instincts. It's my gut. It's... They want me to be the perfect, quote, son, end quote. But I'm not their son. I'm their firstborn child. I'm not a daughter. I'm not a son. I'm just someone who is trying their best and failing. Speaking of trying my best and failing... I think I figured something out. Hang on. There, is that better? Whoop, nope. Back. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. I'm emotional right now. And I've done everything I can to put limits on my emotions so that I don't have to feel them when my parents are around. And when my parents are around, I do my best to bite my tongue. But then my dad turns anything good I say, from Solaria being announced to Solaria being announced to me just figuring out something new about music. My dad will turn literally anything into an excuse to be transphobic. And I get sick of it. Like, I'm not entitled to anything in this world. But goddamn, the very least, could my parents just not be evil? I know I'm not entitled to that, but it would be nice. It would be nice if my parents weren't evil. It would be nice if my parents were, you know, normal, willing to accept me for who I was and who I am. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm being entitled. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm being petulant. I'm not. I'm just traumatized, and trauma runs deep. Really, really, really fucking deep. And I'm kind of sick of my trauma being all I have to define myself by. I have love, but that's nothing to define myself by. I have some friends, like I have one friend and one boyfriend, but that's nothing to define myself by either. Like, I have no means to define myself, who I personally am, other than my trauma and my skills, which admittedly I gained because of my trauma, but still, I'm stuck. Like, I'm just, my soul is stuck. And I don't know what to do. I feel like there's no way out. I feel like there's no way up. I feel like I'm drowning. Like, there's a really popular Vocaloid song, and as a Vocaloid producer, I kind of have to know almost all of them, but there's this one that Sir Hamnet did a remarkable English cover of, but I think Cammy Cat or Cammy Mile did a better one that's a little bit older. Not better quality, but better translation. At the edge of an everlasting paradise, very deep, oh so deep at the bottom of the earth, I'm fated to sing prayers as I close my eyes, all alone till I reach my rebirth. In the shadow of a past with nowhere to turn, I must weave all the voices that follow me around. With the echoes of voices lost from long ago, I continue to sing, fate abounds, not knowing anything. I continue to sing. I've been singing for an eternity, a song about the sun, singing about the rain, and the oh so holy requiem. When others tried to reach and offer warmer hands, I tried to reach them, but with no luck,
'cause no matter how hard they tried, they still can't reach me. At the very bottom deep, I am dying in torture. I'm fated to sing prayers for as long as I can sing them. Now with all the gentle voices I braid the sleeping forgotten past, I will smile through the strain, through the joy and the pain, as I'm drowning down to the depths in all of my tears. It goes something like that. And just hang on, let me zoom in so you can see. Oh crap. Wrong. I wish I could make my avatar give more expressive anything. This is the closest I can get. Imagine that. Except every second of every moment, I have that underlying everything. Even when I try to sound happy, even when I try to sound like I'm laughing, it's always just that emotion. And sorrow. That's all it is. A never-ending wellspring of sorrow that I can't quell. I'm just perpetually in pain. And I don't know how to escape. What little bit of an escape I have is also a form of work. And I'm probably going to spend more time today working on tags than I am streaming. I'm probably just going to end the stream here because of how much pain I'm in from earlier today. Like, I can't wander around looking for side quests right now. I just can't. Like, I'm... Like, normally anime and anime aesthetic is enough to help, but I'm in physical pain, not just emotional pain this time. So my physical pain is keeping me from relieving the emotional pain, and it's gotten that bad. And I need to rest, but I also need to do homework. And I have more physical work to do tomorrow, so I've got to make sure I'm fully rested for that. And then I've got just... And you know, I wish I could be a better boyfriend and a better friend. But I feel like I'm a failure at everything. Yeah, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between, everyone exempt, everyone floating violently between the extremes, be safe, be well, and have a good night.